Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and it is time for Dispatch 2 from CES 2025. Tonight I am at an event called Pepcom, very similar to last night's event, but there are some more heavy hitter brands here than we saw last night, so I expect we'll find more cool stuff. And like the last dispatch we did last night, our objective here is very quick hit previews of things that I hope to get in for review on the channel later in the year. So if you see something interesting, definitely let me know in the comments section what you thought about it. Now, this video is being brought to you by all of you. That includes everyone who contributes to the channel on a regular basis, but also those of you who watch on a regular basis. Last night's video was one of my best of the last couple of months, so I appreciate everybody's support. And we're going to keep trucking away here from CES 2025. We'll probably have another dispatch after this one, and maybe a fourth one too. So keep watching, and I'll keep looking for more stuff. So with that out of the way, let's get to the show and see what we can find. So these robot vacuum cleaners are like a dime a dozen these days, but this one I found to be a different type that you might find of interest. So this is Anker's new 3-in-1 vacuum, and what it does is it will vacuum like a robot vacuum cleaner. But my friend here is going to pull out the centerpiece here, if you can grab that for me real quick. And now it is a handheld vacuum. They have a little attachment that you can put it to. And then the third thing it can do is turn into one of these types of vacuums too. So you can use it fully automated, or you can put your arms to work here and get into some spots that maybe the robot vacuum doesn't do, or maybe something on a different floor. Kind of a neat idea here to combine the automated with the manual. This is coming out soon from Anker's Eufy brand. All right, so here's something interesting. If you wanted to learn how to beat people up a little better, this is called Fight Camp, and this looks like your run-of-the-mill punching bag, but of course we're at CES, so it has to be smart and intelligent. So as this attendee here is hitting the bag, the gloves are recording how his punch is doing and giving him feedback on it. It was designed for boxers, and apparently also works with kickboxers. Now, my wife is a second-degree Kempo Karate black belt. It's not for martial arts yet, but maybe they'll expand to that in the future. Pretty cool stuff here. $7.99 for the punching bag, the gloves, and the unit here. They did say there's also like a Peloton-like subscription where you have somebody guiding you through a workout. So this is the Displace TV. It's going to cost about $1,500 to start. It's available in a couple of different sizes. And it looks like your run-of-the-mill television, but check this out as I walk around to the back here. You don't see a Visa mount here. This is a bunch of suction cups. So it actually sticks to any surface, they tell me. And they've got this really nice engineered system of making sure that the suction cups are in place as you are attaching it, as you can see in this B-roll shot here. And they call this a wireless television because not only does it have Wi-Fi on board, but it also has batteries that keep it running. And one of their use cases is like a trade show environment where you bring these TVs in on a temporary basis. You can set them up anywhere, stick them to anything, and be able to get video content to people coming. They also developed their own TV interface. This is actually a browser-based interface, but they do have Widevine certification for all of the different services here. So kind of a neat idea, a little different for a television. You can also plug HDMI stuff into it here on the side. So on my head right now are the new Xreal 1 Pros. These are going to sell for $5.99. These are artificial reality AR glasses. They basically project an image in the screen. And I've looked at a couple of these over the years, including some older ones from Xreal. And what I like about these new ones is that I can scale the image, because I've often found the image wasn't quite right in my field of view based on my crazy eyes here. So what they're working on with these is there's a menu that I can pull up just by accessing the side panel here. And I'm able to scale the image. I can bring in different screens and move them around. It's actually a pretty cool concept here. I'd love to explore this more, so maybe we'll take a look at these when they come out. But I'm seeing progress here on these wearable glasses. And they also told me I'm able to put these right over my existing glasses here too. And as I turn my head here, the image looks pretty good in the screen. So definite progress being made here, and hopefully we'll get some in to take a look at. So I stopped over at the Sandisk table. They've got this new drive here called the Extreme Pro. And it looks like your run-of-the-mill USB drive, but it runs at SSD speeds, about 1 gigabyte per second of transfer rate. It's priced accordingly. I think the 2 terabyte one is $299, but they've got a bunch of capacities below that. And what I like about it is that you've got both connectors built right in, and it's small. So you got a USB-A and a USB-C. We'll try to get one in for review. So this is the Creator phone drive from Sandisk, and they have a whole new line of Creator products, same as their other ones that just have a blue color. Now this is a MagSafe drive. It'll connect up to your phone's back where it'll stick to it, and then you run the USB cable into the phone for recording. So you could use this for ProRes or even the type of work I'm doing today over here at CES. And then you can, of course, detach it from the phone if you want to do that, and you can see how it connects there. So pretty simple design here, but it's from Sandisk, and they tell me they actually got the cable itself along with the device certified by Apple, because these phones are very particular about voltage. Just don't ask me how I know that. And so this will not drop out on you if you're recording over a long period of time, which has been an issue with some of the cheaper drives out there. We talked about that in a prior video. So $169 for the 2 terabyte version, and there's some lower capacities also available too from Sandisk. Now, I know that every time I visit Plugable at this event, they've got some wacky gadget that I'm going to like, and here's my pick of this one. This is a USB-C multi-charger. As you can see here, they've got 10, I think, devices plugged into it. And this costs about $100, and you can charge a whole bank of devices using it. Now, it doesn't come with the power adapter, so you use whatever one you've got. It'll take up to a 100-watt USB-C power delivery charger, and then it will budget the power based on demand. So if you have a high power device, you want to put it on the last ring here, and as you run down, the power budget will be lower on the other devices. So stuff over here will charge a little slower than the stuff over here, but it all depends on which device is drawing the most. A neat concept here from Plugable, not all that expensive, and a great way if you got a bunch of stuff to charge, you just plug them all in and they'll charge themselves up at different rates, but they'll all get charged eventually. Pretty cool. So here's a couple of other cool devices here at the Plugable table. This is a 4 video output for your computer, USB-C on the end there, and it achieves that 4 video output using Displaylink, which has your computer's CPU, the video encoder, basically generate the images. So there's a little bit of a system load with it, but if you got a computer where you need to output 4 things to 4 different monitors, they actually have another thing I'll show you in a second running out to these here. This might be a very useful tool for that, so pretty neat. And then they've got this dock here that's going to be under $300, and this is also a multi-Displaylink dock. However, the first video output on the right there is a standard USB alt mode port. So it's got 2 HDMIs, you got 2 10 gig USB-C ports, and then you've got some other connectivity here as well on the front. All of this from Plugable. And I also didn't know that they have their own display too for about $229. These have been on the market for a while now. USB-C with power pass-through, and they also have a 10 gig USB-C port on there for connecting other devices. So always fun accessory devices here over at Plugable. So this is the Remarkable Paper Pro. It costs $5.99, and you get a pen with it, believe it or not. They have another pen that you can get for a little more money that has an eraser on it. And these are e-ink notebooks, and they are pretty much like a note-taking device, but this one now has color. And as my friend starts writing here, I'll show you what the color looks like here. So it's pretty nice. It's not so great, you know, for photos and stuff like we've seen on some of these other e-ink displays, but this one looks a little nicer than some of the others I've played with. And what I really like about the surface as you're writing is that it's got a very paper-like feel. The screen has a very nice texture on it that gives you a lot of precision with the pen, and there's very little latency as he's writing here, as you can see as well. And it does something that my old Newton used to do, which is straighten out the shapes as I'm drawing them. That's pretty cool. So you get a kind of a neat, smart notebook feature here, and of course you can back up to all sorts of different devices with it as well. I've got a few friends that are using earlier versions of these, and they love them, and they have really made a nice notebook device here. And look how thin it is too. So cool stuff. If you want a tablet that is really designed for note-taking, this one might be worth taking a look at. So we're at the OWC table. This is their Thunderblade X12, and you get 12 terabytes of storage for $24.99. And it's super fast because this is a Thunderbolt 5 device. So if you have a Thunderbolt 5 equipped computer, these are the kind of transfer rates you can expect from it, and you get a ton of storage. Now you can't buy this diskless, you have to buy it with the drives, and 12 terabytes is the minimum, but it goes up to 96 terabytes, which is quite a bit. and you set up your software RAID on your computer to manage it. So they always come up with some really cool drive devices here at OWC. They're also now shipping some Thunderbolt 5 docks too. I need to upgrade my Mac now to get a port that can handle all this new stuff. Now, one of the limitations of Thunderbolt cables or USB 4 cables is that length becomes an issue. But if you have a fiber optic connection in the middle, it's not as big of an issue. So here they have a fiber optic cable, an active optical cable that can go up to 14.76 feet or 4.5 meters. And this is what the cable looks like. So significantly longer than a traditional cable. And it also supports power delivery over that length. So on this cable, you can get up to 240 watts of power, although some of the longer length cables deliver a little bit less, but still a real good solution if you've got a high-speed Thunderbolt device that you want to locate somewhere further away. So this particular cable is $129. They have a 3-meter cable for about $100. So not bad if you're looking for a long Thunderbolt solution. So I stopped by HP's table, and they have some cool desktops here that are giving off a serious Atari vibe here. This is the OmniDesk desktop. There's an Intel version, which is on the left, and an AMD version on the right. These are small desktops. As you can see in the back here, you can do some upgradability. I would imagine there's some limited size for cards. We'll try to get some more information on these. But I just like the wood grain look. It's coming back again. And I'm sure Clint from LGR, the Lazy Game Reviews channel, would love to get his hands on one of these just for the aesthetic. But it's just fun to see how designs are coming and going as the decades roll on here. Cool stuff. So this is HP's Saga Pro mouse. It starts at $119. And what this is a mouse where you can swap out the shell here and configure the buttons in a couple of different ways. They have up to 16 different button combinations, depending on how you want to put things together. And they give you 2 shells in the box. But get this, they also give you some 3D printing plans so you can make your own shells and turn the mouse into something that is highly personalized. So this is pretty cool. You can show up at your LAN party or whatever with some cool cases on here. And then moving over here, we have the Haste 2 mouse, and this is under HP's HyperX brand. And these are metal. They have a magnesium alloy shell. They feel cool to the touch. So a little higher end here for your mousing pleasure. And it really feels kind of nice heavy-duty metal mouse. So cool stuff from HP. This is $149, and it'll be out soon. Now, believe it or not, printer reviews do the best on my channel over time. And, you know, printers are printers, but there's some new stuff here with AI that actually I think is usable and useful. So what we've got here is an example of what happens a lot of times when you try to print out a web page. It's a big mess of stuff here. As my friend flips through the paper, if you can just take a few sheets there for me, you can see it just isn't always very useful, especially if you're trying to give this to somebody to read offline, right? So with this new HP AI thing, you can go in and basically tell it to just pull out the main content. And in this case, his example person asked for less paper, so it automatically duplex, but it also pulled out the content from the web page and reformatted it based on their request. Isn't that neat? Here's a recipe example over here. So this was the original recipe that they tried to print out. And you can see it's got a lot of empty space here, reviews, and a whole bunch of other stuff that's not necessary. But after the AI did its thing, look at this. You get the recipe only, and that was done through a specific request that they made on the AI interface. So very consumer-friendly AI here. And this is going to be a free feature on the new printers coming out later this year. So you need to look for this HP Print AI logo on the box in order to get the feature. It does send this up to a cloud server for processing, so if you have privacy issues, just be aware of that. But I think for a lot of folks, this is going to be a very useful feature for printing stuff out and getting the formatting right without having to spend a lot of time trying to figure it out for yourself. So HP has a new Omen laptop coming out soon that they say is the most powerful one they have ever created. It comes in 2 different colors here. You can have a choice of Intel or AMD processor on board and a bunch of different NVIDIA GPU options as well, and prices will be announced soon on this. But what I wanted to do is show you this really cool teardown they have of the machine here. So you have your display up here at the top. Here is your thermal and vapor solution set up here, and they said they're using some new compound that goes beyond your standard thermal paste that should last a little bit longer. It's some kind of metallic composite that they were telling me about. What was really interesting to me, though, it's kind of a simple concept, but we always get these fans on our laptops that get gunked up with dust and animal hair and all that other stuff. Well, what they're going to do with these new fans is reverse the direction every couple of hours so that stuff doesn't get built up in there. So as the fan is turning, the airflow will reverse. And as you can see here, the vents are kind of configured to do both blowing and ingesting. So what will happen here is these fans will just switch directions, and they think that will prevent dust buildup over time. So you may have a less dusty computer as a result. Here is the motherboard. Another thing they pointed out to me on this is that they have a proprietary wireless standard that they've developed for their HyperX peripherals called ULL, ultra low latency. So you can connect up headphones and other devices that support this ULL standard to this radio here and get much better performance for a latency perspective than you would with a standard Bluetooth connection. So pretty cool stuff here from HP, and I love it when they take these things apart so I don't have to do it later. So I'm visiting a company called Ventiva, and they have a solution that they say will eliminate fans from PCs. So we're going to run a little demo here. We're going to get some smoke going, and as you can see, the smoke is just blowing backwards there. And when this unit activates, the air blows out. And how is it blowing out? Well, they've got these air ionizers that create ozone that moves the air out, and that is how these are going to work. And I asked them, I said, well, is there an actual use case for this in a computer? And it turns out they are working with Dell, and this laptop is currently being cooled by this process. And I'll put this screen up here so you can see all of the data here about what it's doing. So this is completely cooled with this new process here. So nothing shipping with this yet, but I thought it was a very interesting concept to have higher powered fanless PCs, and we'll probably start seeing something like this in the near future. Now, you've heard me gripe over the years about some of the confusion about USB-C ports and their capabilities. One thing that the USB group here has is a certification process similar to the Thunderbolt process, where companies send in their cables to be certified that they meet the standard. And one of the things that they're requiring as part of this certification process now is to print the capabilities of the cable on the cable itself. So when you take it out of your drawer of cables, like I've got that big rat's nest, you know what each cable can do before you plug it in. And they're telling me if it doesn't have the printing on the cable, it doesn't get certified. Now, certification is optional, but we may see more and more companies go the certification route if others are doing it. And here's a cable from Plugable, where we were just visiting. And as you can see here, that cable is labeled properly. So I'm visiting a company called WePower, and they have these new energy harvesting devices. And if my friend here pushes the yellow button at the top of his unit there, it will power briefly a sensor that just reported all of this information: the number of clicks it's received, the acceleration, the temperature, the pressure, the atmospheric pressure. It's like a little atmospheric sensor in there. And there's no battery. It's just relying on a button push. And this is a concept, but if you think about it, if you had like a car going through a gate, you could have it power up a camera, take a quick picture, fire it off, and then go back to sleep. You wouldn't have to keep the camera powered or have to charge it. So that's a pretty useful feature. You don't get a lot of time on it, but enough to identify a car and a license plate or something. Now, they have a more practical product here, and this is a moisture sensor. Again, no charge required, and you can see that paper around it. It's holding some tension there, and when it gets wet, the paper will dissolve and release the sensor. You heard it click there, and now we got a reading that we've got water somewhere. So if you have moisture sensors, you don't have to worry about powering them. You can get them to give you a report when something trips it without ever having to worry about losing battery power or losing your electrical connection to it. It works with Z-Wave, and this will be their first consumer product that should be out at some point in the near future. So this is the Cosmo smartwatch. It costs $129. This is for parents to keep track of their kids. This is a fully functional smartphone, but you can only call the people that you give them permission to call. It has Bluetooth capability, so you can go ahead and have headphones attached to it for having that conversation, or they can just talk through their wrist. It has GPS tracking that goes back to the parent, and it has a few other little apps here. They can't do anything beyond what you give them permission to do. And you'll also notice there's a camera on the front, so the kid can take a picture where they may be located if they got lost or something, and be able to send that along as well. So a great way to give your kid a smartphone without all of the negative things that go with it, and you're able to get that peace of mind. So $129 for the watch, and they have a subscription plan that you can get down to about $10 a month if you buy about 2 years in advance. So there's a couple of different service offerings on this one. But SIM cards built right in, and a great little tool for your kids if you don't want to get them a phone. So this is the Flic Duo. We've looked at Flic products off and on over the years here, and I think this is their 10th year in business. And they've got a new device here called the Duo. And as its name implies, there are 2 buttons on it, so you can program it to do different things. But they also have gesture controls as part of this. So if my friend grabs the thing here and does her brightness demonstration, whenever you're ready, there we go. She holds it down here and just twists her wrist, and it changes the brightness of the lights here. Isn't that cool? So you can program a bunch of these different gestures in, and you can pick these things up and take them off the wall. They have a magnetic wall mount, so if my friend can jump in there, you can just pull it off the wall when you want to do that kind of stuff, or snap it back in there. And there you go. And what's funny is as the Internet of Things, the home automation stuff has evolved, these little devices are becoming more and more important because you can program a whole bunch of macros to fire off whenever you push a button or do a certain gesture. Now, this one works with just about everything. Apple, HomeKit, Matter, and Amazon Alexa. It doesn't work with Google, but I'm sure you could figure out some way to get it to work through Matter or something. So pretty cool stuff here from Flic. It's going to be about $60, and it's launching soon. So this is a cool little device. This is the Garmin Inreach Messenger Plus. It costs about $4.99. And what this does is it allows you to send messages via satellite when you don't have any form of connectivity. And this one, which is the Plus model, has the ability to send photos and other rich kind of media. So it's a little more robust than the other one they offer that costs a little less. You can actually send messages directly through the device itself, but it's much easier, they tell me, to link up your smartphone to it to send the messages up to space to who needs to see them. They offer this on a month-to-month subscription, so you don't have to subscribe and commit, so you can just activate it when you need to. The lower cost device doesn't do the photos, just the SOS messages, but it is maybe a better solution for people that just need a way to reach people in an emergency. But if you have a need to send a little bit more, and you got some device out there that needs to communicate with pictures, this is a way to do it when you have no other connectivity. Cool stuff. So I stopped over at Synology's table, and they have a couple of things to take a look at. This is something we looked at earlier, but this is the new version of it. This is the Beestation Plus, which is their simpler to use NAS system. This new one has a more powerful processor, an Intel J4125. So it's possible here to perhaps in the future do more from an application standpoint. So we'll have to get one in when they release this and find out more about what its capabilities are. So this is designed more for small teams. The other device we looked at is more of a home device, but they have a similar interface, at least at the moment. Now, another item here at Synology's table is their new C2 camera line. And these are surveillance cameras, very similar to the ones that work with Surveillance Station, but these actually work standalone. So they have an SD card that's inside the camera, and you'll connect to it through their C2 service for free. And you can then pay a subscription fee, which is to be announced, to have longer cloud retention. And these were designed because they had a lot of customers who have construction sites and other temporary locations. They liked the Synology interface, and so they wanted a solution that didn't require a Synology NAS to operate. And these will be coming out soon at various price points, and when we get one in, we'll review it. All right, that's going to do it for Dispatch 2 at CES 2025. I've got more to come. I've got another one of these events tomorrow night. I'm going to be doing some time on the show floor tomorrow. The show officially starts tomorrow, believe it or not. So we're seeing a lot early here, which is always a good thing. Let me know what you liked in the video, and we'll try to get some of this stuff in for a review coming up. And I want to thank you all for tuning in. The first Dispatch is doing really well on YouTube, so I appreciate everybody watching that one. And hopefully you watch this one. And if you want to see more, the notification bell is really helpful. The subscription is really helpful. You can also subscribe to my email digest at Lon.TV/digest, and that will get you my email list delivered to you whenever we post a new video. That'll do it for this one. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you very soon. This is Lon Seidman. Thanks for watching.